All right, everybody, we are going to get started. Welcome to another edition of my COVID webinars to keep everybody thinking football and keeping everybody focused on your upcoming high school or Bantam or Pee Wee seasons. So a couple of programming notes, not that this is a TV show or anything like that, but a couple of notes. We will not be doing one of these on Thursday. Any guesses on why I am not doing one on Thursday to give everybody a break? Let's see if anybody in the chat can figure out. NFL draft, exactly. I know a lot of you guys will be really focused on watching the NFL draft and making sure we get some football in, even though it's been a long time since we've had some. So I'm going to let everybody have the draft, and we will be back next Tuesday. We're going to be talking about play action next week. So next week is a progression of this week. Last one we talked about leads. We're going to talk about its cousin, the counters, today. And ready to hop into that. But before we do that, I am just going to throw in all the previous ones into the chat here. Let's see. And that way, if you've missed one of these, you can go onto YouTube and you can watch it. I'd appreciate if you did that and you give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Not that it's going to matter too much. It's just really good for my ego. Here they all are. So make sure you copy and paste and take those with you. There's a lot of really good stuff on there. I really liked the leads talk that we had last week. Coach Baker is on the call again today. Unmute him right now so he can say hi. Say hi to everybody, Coach Baker.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Perfect. That's all I need from him right now. So feel free to jump in, Coach Baker, when you have a chance. And you're really the run game expert on the call today. So I know your input is really, really valued. And I know a lot of the players who have worked with you really appreciate your opinions. And those of you who are moving up to Bantam, you're really going to like this guy. He's a real players coach, and you're going to love him when you're up at Bantam. Okay, moving along into what I want to talk about today, we've got a warm-up as we normally do. So we're going to go over some running back drills. First thing that I want to talk about is pre-practice early outs. So I've talked about the concept of early outs. It bears repeating. Be responsible for your own effort. Be responsible for your own development. Be the first one to work and be the first one doing work. Now, I want to actually show you a video that actually depicts early outs as we ran them with the Stampeders, and that I like to run when we get a chance. So for all of my skilled position guys, I asked them to be at practice about 15 to 20 minutes early, ready to go. That would be the quarterbacks, that would be centers, that would be that group of people. And the reason why I do that is so they can actually start their early outs. Let me just pull up my video here. And we can go from there. Give me 1 sec. I had a last minute upload here, so by the time we're good to practice outside, I should have all the technical difficulties taken care of. So the first one I want to show you here, okay, is early outs. So on the PowerPoint, we talked about quarterbacks and RBs getting to work early and working on their mesh, going through all the running plays for about 10 minutes. This can be directed by a coach or be self-directed. For the coaches on the call today, what I like to do is start early on in the season by making this coach directed. So have your coaches there, have your quarterbacks, your running backs, and your centers, or any linemen that could potentially be snapping. This is also a good time to get linemen who aren't normally centers to start practicing snapping the ball. You can never have enough people who can confidently snap a football. If you've ever been in a situation where you lose one center and then another, and you're on to that third level of guy, it can get pretty hard pretty quick. So this is a way to practice without wasting a lot of time in practice. So what I'd like to do, if I have 3 quarterbacks, I'll have 3 linemen snapping the ball, and we're going to go through all the running plays that we have for about 10 minutes. This can be self-directed or directed by a coach. Usually what happens is it's for the first 2 weeks, one of our coaches is running it, and then after a while, the quarterbacks just take over, and this becomes their thing. So let's watch the video of that, and then we'll move on to the next drill. So as you can see, this is just from the Miami Hurricanes practice. It's very low key here. There's no other linemen. There's a bunch of people standing around. I usually get 3 lines of people, and you just go through all the passing plays, okay? Setups are running plays. Set up some cones so you have the aiming points in the holes. You can never get enough practice meshing, right? You can never get enough time being comfortable with what that looks like and how that feels. So take this time 10 minutes before. You don't have to go full speed. This is not a high tempo. You haven't even warmed up or stretched yet. So don't kill yourself by sprinting out too hard or anything like that. But it's just a time to get your mind in shape and to practice those mesh points. Coach Baker, you have anything on this?
I can't see anything, man. I just see your desktop screen.
Okay, is everybody else in a position that they can't see everything? Sorry if that's the case. Let me I am sharing the wrong screen. Okay. So let's try this one more time here. Okay, now everybody can see the screen. So it's just a quarterback. We have a fullback and a running back. They're going to be working on their handoffs, working all of their different plays. We don't have the line that they do. So what we do is we set up cones for all the holes, and you just rep it as much as you can. Get 10 minutes worth of work in different centers. Running backs take fullback reps. Fullbacks take running back reps. You never know when you're going to need those skills. And just actively go through those plays. Again, it's pre-practice, so you're not going as hard as you can. This isn't full speed. This is before we actually get into anything. That makes sense? Good. Well, now I'm glad everybody could see the screen. That's perfect. Okay. Next one that we have, I'll just pull up the PowerPoint here. Next one we have, okay, is going to be a blocking drill, okay? And this is a really good one when you start out the year. I like to do this early on in preseason, and then a couple more times during the year. It's a really nice drill that really focuses on the fundamentals of throwing a block and where your hips should be, where your body should be. This is also a very good drill for linemen. So offensive linemen, we should be doing this with you. Coaches, you can do this with receivers as well. It's like I said, a really good fundamental one. So I have 2 running backs about 1 yard apart. One person is on their knees, and they're going to thrust forward to make contact for a block. Their aiming point is the breastplate of the chest pad for the person that they're aiming for. And then as we progress on this, we're going to progress to throwing our hips through. Getting your hips through is the key to getting the right level. If you've ever seen a block thrown where somebody has their butt hanging out and it's straight back, they're fully extended and their arms aren't in the right position. If you throw your hips through and you get your hips in the right spot, your arms have to follow and everything comes from there. Instead of just using your biceps and your triceps, you're using your calves, you're using your quads, and you're using your glutes, which are much stronger muscles. And then once you progress through that, we're going to go to standing with the same technique. So here's what that one looks like. And again, really good introduction to blocking and a really good reminder for fundamentals. Let me just get to the clip here. Okay. So moving along, okay. So what we're going to do, you see that player is down on his knees here, okay. He is going to aim. I don't like using the bags. I just like using the chest plate because it's more realistic. So I would have this kid stand just a little bit closer, and bend over just a little bit with his head up to make it a little bit more easier for the angle, and then thrust through, okay? Thrust through. Again, younger coaches, this is really good for getting where you need to aim. The head has to be up. Notice we're not pushing, we're coming through. It's more of an upward motion as opposed to a forward motion, okay? Now, if you look at number 1 here, okay, this is decent with his hips. But I'd like to see that a little bit more bowed in the back. So see how this right here, this is what I like, okay? So once we move this to standing, what this is gonna simulate is thrusting your hips through and getting your hips on the other guy's hips. If you can get your hips on their hips with your hand in the right space, you're gonna take their pad level and you're gonna jack it up really high in the air, and that's how you get pancakes, okay? That's how you get really good blocks. So you thrust your hips through, and your arms will follow. Okay, a couple more views of it here. Some kids are naturally a little tighter around that area and they can't really look as good doing it, so relax on that. But this is, now we're going to full extension, okay? So now the players are really selling out. They're gonna land on their stomach and really work on getting that thrust, okay? What I like about this especially is arm strength doesn't matter. If you are trying to do this drill with just your arms, you're going to fail and it's going to be obvious, and it's a very easy correction as a coach, okay? Really work on thrusting your hips through, selling out, you're gonna land on your stomach. You wanna be actually able to deliver a block from your legs, okay? As you can see, lots of power springing into this. Okay, look how far people are moving back. Okay, as they go. The person you're blocking is actually pushed back by the energy of what you're doing. Now we're going to do it from a standing position, 3-point stance or 2-point stance, whatever you prefer. And then we're going to move on a little bit further, and now we're going to do it from an actual running position. Nothing changes though. You're still getting low, right? In this case, this is what I'm talking about by his butt hanging out. I like him, he has the pad level now. I'd like to get his hips through, and I want him to step on this guy's toes, right? If he does that, there is no way this guy can move, and more than likely you're going to land on top of him on the ground, right? Does that make sense? Now, there's no such thing as a running back at our level that can't block, okay? You absolutely have to be able to block if you want to get the rock. That's the rhyme everybody says, but it's true. Every passing play you need to pass pro. If you're a fullback, you're using lineman techniques all the time. So make sure that you really commit to getting good at blocking. Okay, it's demoralizing when you throw a good block and we're able to run the ball on them. Coach Baker, anything on that one?
Coach Gloss said it good, guys. As a skill position player, I know it's not a sexy, fun thing to think about blocking, but we've had so many times over the years where maybe one guy's a better pass catcher as a receiver, but another guy's a better blocker, and we need the better blocker out there a lot of the time. And then same as running backs, key, being able to block. You'll see in the NFL draft this week, the difference between a round 1 NFL running back and a round 2 or 3, as they'll talk about, is elite pass protecting skills, especially in today's game where you throw the ball so much.
Yeah, it is really a skill that we need to commit to, and it's not one of the ones that you think is going to end up on your highlight tape, but I tell you, people really do look at it, and you're going to see it on the draft, just as Coach Baker talked about. Okay, last one we're going to hop into, and then we're going to show you the counters that I was talking about, is our third wheel drill. I really had to struggle to find a cut-up of this. I'm going to have to go out this week and get some film from a safe social distance. I've got a couple of running backs who are going to help me out with it, but this isn't exactly what I like, so I'll adjust it a little bit, but I'll show you the tape. On this video, they set up a box about 5 yards apart per cone. Running back will go about 50% and put one hand on the ground and spin around the cone. We're really focusing on keeping our 5 points of contact or our 4 points of contact because our hand is on the ground on this one. But I'll show you the tape because it'll make a little bit more sense on why I think it's super important. But as we keep rolling this tape, okay, Just let me get to the right spot on the clip. Okay. So as you see this player going around the cones, right? The focus is going to be to maintain your body in the right spot, right? You want to make sure that you're getting low because like this is simulating being tackled or simulating being off balance. But right here, okay, as the player goes down, look at this football, okay? Squeeze tightly against his chest, okay? Arm is still in the right spot. Hand is covering it. Elbow's got it right here, okay? Most fumbles take place when you're going down, okay? When you're about to be tackled or when you're reaching for the ground, that's where we start getting some separation between the ball and those 4 points of contact. So it is super important that we practice drills like this so it becomes muscle memory to squeeze that football when we're off balance, okay? And you're going to see a couple guys go around this, but every single one of them has excellent ball control or ball security, okay? You're going to do this about 50%. You're going to use both hands. Everybody's going to go through it a couple of times and go from there. I prefer this drill to be set up for about 10 yards apart and have the players really sell out on putting their hand down to really simulate off balance. But the other thing this drill is working, okay, not just ball security, but when we're down here, in order to keep moving, we've got to speed our feet up. So as we come out of being off balance, you need to explode. Okay, because when you explode, that's going to be the difference between a first down or being tackled 4 yards after you make some yards. Okay, so really work on ball security with this one, making sure we have our 4 points of contact. And see, that's number 17 right there. Does not explode out of this cut, loses all his momentum, right? Okay. Any questions on those drills? Now, Coach Baker, I know you have a third wheel drill that you like, so I know this was an important one to you.
Yeah, I have a couple I like, but yeah, I really like to do drills where you get to work on pad level, footwork, balance, all that kind of stuff, ball security. You know, anyone who's played for me knows I highly emphasize those things.
Yeah, and it's something we need to practice, right? You need to not be thinking about ball security in a game because it becomes second nature to you, right? So looking at our counters here, okay, so counters are kind of the cousin of the play that we ran last week, Thursday, our leads, okay? So our counters are meant to look like our outside zones, okay? We're going to motion up our fullback. Our quarterback is going to open to that way and then turn back and give it to the running back cutting back the other way. So he's going to take 1, 2, 3 steps, come right back. We're going to be pulling the guard and the tackle. Everybody else is going to be down blocking. Okay, so let's show you an end zone cut up of this, and then we can walk through. I have about 15 plays for you to look at today. Last week ran a little bit long when we were talking running plays, so I cut it down a little bit and found a little bit better clips here. So let's go full screen here. So this is against the forefront, okay, and we are running 33 candy, okay. So on 33 candy, or sorry, 33 counter, we're going to be pulling these two, okay. First person is more than likely going to pick out the end. So he's going to kick this end out. The next guy is going to come through the hole and is going to be looking for the first colored jersey he can see. Most of the time we need to see that linebacker is going to meet us in the hole. But general rule, don't run by somebody in the hole trying to find the guy you're supposed to block. If there's somebody standing in the hole, you've got to take him now, okay? Everybody else is going to be down blocking. We're going to get down block here. We're going to get a down block here, okay? The reason why this works is because we start flowing linebackers to the opposite side, okay? If you're a team that runs a lot of leads and a lot of outside zones, teams start to overcompensate, teams start to flow, you can hit a counter for a very big play. Some teams have a different philosophy. They're not lead teams. They're not outside zone teams. They're very much counter teams. So they're going to counter and run this play as much as possible. And the answer to that is running a straight up lead. So they have different views on this. But let's watch this play. This running back is a super patient kid, and you're going to hear me talk about why patience is important. So as you can see, we're setting up the outside zone that you saw earlier on. We've talked about it. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Okay, so Sean's going to take a couple of steps this way. We're pulling these linemen down, and he's going to follow. Something that's super important here is at this point, we cannot outrun those blocks, okay? We have to wait for those linemen to get downfield in order to get there. Otherwise, we're going unblocked. And you'll see a couple of examples of that coming up. But here, Sean, a real fast kid, is super patient and waits. We don't get the block that we needed here, but still a very effective play, right? And the reason why it's effective is because look how much flow is going on, right? Right, we're going to be coming downfield. We've got a lot of people moving in the wrong direction. One guy makes a miss, and we end up getting a six-yard gain there. Okay, let's have another look at this, okay? Now, this is against a three-man front, okay? We've got 1, 2, 3 down linemen, okay? So this play works. We're pulling to this side here. This play works the same. It's almost a little bit better against the three front, but a lot harder for a lineman to pull it off. So we need a down block here. We need a down block maybe here, maybe in here. And then we pull these guys around. Both, if we run this successfully, there's usually not an end to kick out. So both guys come off the edge and try to pick somebody up. But in this case, we're going to end up blocking the end, and it kind of screws up the play a little bit. We still get yards, though. So as we're pulling, we're coming around, get a hat on. We still make positive yards here. I would have liked to see a bit better double team. If we could get a climb up to here, we've got a big play here. But again, being very patient, waiting for his lineman to get in the way, and then using his speed. Okay? Anything to add there, Coach?
I didn't like how that opened up. We can always call counter the unbounceable play. You got to hit it up in there. You can't cut back on it, but you can't bounce outside, and we almost got forced to bounce outside there. And the nature of how the play works with the pulls and the kick out blocks, and once you start having to run outside, it just doesn't work.
So Coach is stealing my thunder here. This, in my notes coming up in a couple of plays here, I talk about that, but you're 100% right. What happens if we run outside of this? Okay, if we bounce this outside, can anybody tell me where our blocking is designed to push people? Well, Parker's right, you die, but why do you die? If you bounce this outside and we're pushing people outside, you're basically pushing the people we want out of the way into where the running back is going. So be patient. If you feel the need to bounce it outside, that's when I put my foot in the ground and, just try to get north-south as fast as possible. Okay, moving on to the next play here, play number 3. We have another good example of a very patient running back here. Okay, turns it into a nice big gain. This is a good example of not looking to bounce this outside and really committing to following our blocks and going inside. Okay, this is inside or bust. Be patient and wait for your lineman. Okay. As we can see, we wait for our line. It looks congested, but there's a lot of room in the middle. And now we're off to the races. Really nice looking play here. Okay, couple things I want to highlight. If we watch our fullback here, okay, so our fullback motions up early. Let me show you the motion. Okay, and this looks like our outside zone play, right? Because we motion up that guy. And normally on outside zone, we're looking for these two players to combo block the end, slide up to backer. And that's what this player looks like he's doing here. But once the play starts going, watch what he does with his body. He immediately gets between him and where the guy lined up as defensive end. They kind of played this a little bit differently. But he's getting in between the defensive end and where he needs to be, right? Instead of sealing that off, very smartly, he's now getting his body in between. If we get a cutback, that turns into a really good play. Okay, but be patient. The temptation here when we see congestion is to keep going, right? It does appear that there's room out there, but the bigger play is in the middle once we follow those blocks. Okay, perfect. Coach, do you have anything on that last one? That's the patience you were talking about and not blocking and not running it outside, right?
Exactly. I like to always tell the running back, slow to, fast through the hole. We know you're a great athlete, but you're not out there to make your linemen look bad. You got to give them time to pull across, set their blocks up, then you can explode and follow in behind them. And
Absolutely.
then going back to the fullback too, any level you play at when you run counter, you're asking a lot of the fullback. You're one-on-one with the DN most of the time. So you got a man's block on that play, and you just got to try usually and body him up, get in his way, make him run through you.
I don't know what it's like in a lot of your other systems, but I'm a big believer in fullbacks. I'm a big believer that they really have to be one of the toughest guys on your team. So, it's a badge of honor when your coach asks you to play fullback. Just want to make sure I'm not leaving anybody else out of the chat here. So give me just 1 second to check in, make sure I'm not. Okay, good. Okay, play number 4. Okay, we actually get to the second level here, which is nice. So again, 4-man front. Okay, so we're going to be pulling these two guys, down blocking here. And I'll show you what happens when we can get to the second level, right? We pull, get a nice kick out block here. 51 makes his block. And that doesn't seem like a big play there, but that's an 8-yard, 9-yard run. I know it's tough to tell exactly depth when we're looking at the end zone view, but when we get a hat on at the second level and we have a running back who waits for it to go, I mean, we're really getting 8-9 yards without being touched there, right? And it doesn't have to be a kill shot for you O-linemen, okay? You just need to get your body in the right spot. Not everything's going to be a pancake. Not everything's going to put a guy through the ground. Sometimes all you need is to get your body in the right spot and get your hand on someone. Okay, moving on. Play number 5. Okay. This is a good example of, you've heard me talk about 3-man fronts in the past. I always think 3-man fronts are a lie. They turn into a 4-man front pretty quickly. You're going to have a blitz coming from somewhere. They're going to show it relatively early, and they're going to get down on the line. So I always try to look when I'm doing film work or when I'm prepping for a team to figure out where that 4th down lineman comes in. Here's a really good example of it here. So it's clearly a 3-front, 3-4, right up until the very end. We're going to have this player walk up right here. So right now, our rules still count, right? We're going to kick him out. We're going to follow up the hole. Even though it seemed like a 3-man front, they're presenting the same way. So as a lineman, when you come down and you pass where you're supposed to be, so if you pass the center and there's a body in the way, you got to take him. Okay? You cannot run past somebody and run a successful counter. Okay? So we're looking, even though pre-snap, this would have been a 3-man front, it's now a 4-man front as we get up to the line. So we get a really nice kick out here. Really nice kick out. We don't even get a kill block there, but it's just enough on the second level. That's a really nice run. Okay, but this is a really good example of linemen not running past somebody. Okay, he wasn't supposed to be there. He should have been inside. This should have been the D end according to our pre-snap count. But we don't run by the first guy we see. We get a hat here. This is a big play. And as fast as this running back was, one of the faster kids I've ever worked with, he was very, very patient and very, very smart when it came to counters. He would really wait for the play to develop. So for you guys who play running back, make sure you're waiting for your lineman. You're going to hear that a lot today because it's so common in this play. Anything on that, Coach Baker?
No, that was good. I like how fast he got north-south. That was always something JB had a good quality about. Even though he knew he was number 2 in Canada in the 100-meter sprint, he would not try to get outside a lot of time, just straight downhill and use his speed that way.
Yeah, he was never big about sideline to sideline running. Okay, play number 6. It's a really good play by the backside end, and notice the linebacker got their BCR rules pretty good. He was really fast, Danny. Notice the linebacker got their BCR rules. If we were able to get a block on the backside, this could have been a play for a big run. This is a good play by the defense, but I want to show you how it can work against the 3-man front. So pretend we don't get caught in the backfield. Okay. So we get a nice pull, nice counter step, does not fool the defense at all on the counter step. This guy is going to end up blowing up the play. But if we look play side, we get a nice kick out block, and we actually get to where we need to be. Okay? So if we found a way to account for 57, and we did later on in the game, he came really hard on this play here and really sold out to get downfield. Okay? But we had really good blocking from the line play side, and I think if we were able to slow this player down, we would have had a home run here because I see nothing but green space here. So what's a good quarterbacks, if you can help me out here, what's a good answer to a team that has a D-end playing that aggressively? Screen? What else? A screen is correct, but there's an easier way. Exactly, Parker. We have our bootleg off this. So we're going to show that next week. But here, this is the defensive end that's supposed to be responsible. I know this guy is playing BCR, but he also has responsibilities. If we're running our actual fake off this, we'd have an 8 over top and he'd be long gone. Okay? We would have Danny keep this and roll out. It could be a run play. It could be a pass play. We've got some really nice looks at that. But that's my answer to when a DN starts playing that aggressively. And I will sit there and wait for it, right? If a defensive coordinator wants to put a DN and keep them at home and take away the backside, they're losing the ability to have that kind of play develop. That being said, if they keep sending that guy and they don't take care of their BCR responsibilities, we are going to hit them on the bootleg. So it's kind of you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But I watch that D-end all the time. That backside D-end is so key. And quarterbacks, help your coordinators out. If you see a D-end who's biting all the time and really coming down the line like that, make sure you're telling your coordinator. It can set up your zone reads. It can set up your play actions. It's really a good thing to look for, and you guys have a great vantage point. So again, I'll let this run a little bit more, but I really think we could have had a home run if we just had a better block on him on the backside. Okay, moving on. Get some Bulldog tape out here for everybody. Okay. Very patient running here from Mason David. And we're going to see a really good kick out block here. So as we slow this down, again, we're coming on the 33 side here. Okay. Nice block here. And we almost get to second level with the linebacker. Now, Coach Baker hit on it, and it's a small point here, but I want to talk about the running back here. Okay. He's not bouncing it, but he's also not getting north-south here. He was a fast kid too. Not as fast as the previous kid that you saw, but he had good speed. Okay. He bounces it out a couple of yards and then slams it up. As soon as he took the handoff, his linemen are already gone. They have already made the blocks. He doesn't need to be this patient. He's now seen the play develop. He can let it go. If he does that, we're looking at a 20-yard gain. We still get a really nice gain. Don't get me wrong, but right there, taking those steps to the side instead of getting vertical puts him in a position where we've allowed the defense to catch up. Do you see the same thing there, Coach?
Absolutely. Don't like his pad level either. He looks to cut back almost, it looks like, too. He should have just gone his north-south as much as he could. He probably could have got 5 there if he just, right here, just pushes as hard as he can north-south.
Yeah. Again, and now at some point, this kid was also 6'2". He was very physical.
I can tell he's taller for sure.
But what I mean by that is, by being a physical kid, this might be a time to make a statement, right? Hit this kid as hard as you can. If he's going to tackle you anyway, get a couple extra yards, bury your shoulder into him, and make sure he doesn't want to tackle you next time. You can't always get a home run on every play. Okay, moving along to play number 8. This is another really good example of our fullback making a nice block here. Okay, I know it's going to be tough to see from this angle, but okay, our fullback slips inside and turns that player out, and that's a really good way to get that D-end out of everything. That D-end saw a lot of outside zone from us, so because of that, he was already thinking that way, so it was easy to step in front, but nice and physical from Evan to turn him out, and he is not making a play. Now, again, look at the patience from this running back, okay? We have a lot of, right here, you might have wanted to bounce, you might have wanted to try to look to outrun somebody, but instead he waits for his blocking to develop, and we get an excellent gain out of this. That's an 8-yard gain on a heavy D-line with our linebackers playing really aggressive, right? Trust your blocking. We've got good pad level on people, and he puts his shoulder down and keeps running. Excellent run, but I really wanted to highlight, from a fullback's point of view, this play, you're going to get 3 people who get credit for it before you do. You're going to get the running back, you're going to get the 2 linemen, but I really like the commitment to doing his job. Steps in, kicks him out, nice and aggressive, and puts his body in between him and the play. Okay. Moving on, play number 9 here. Okay, this is an example. I put this on here. I'll talk about this quite a bit. If you want to have some fun down here, you could see me yelling at the referee. I don't know what I was on.
Well, that's our favorite referee. So.
Yeah, him and I have had a bit of history in big games, but I was pretty mad about something. But what I wanted to highlight here was the kick-out block from our guard coming around, okay? Because it's not a killer block, okay? He's playing a very big D lineman. Croxford had an excellent D line, big kids, okay? So he's going to come down the line, and this isn't a kill shot, but he gets his body where it needs to be, right? We get a big gain out of that, but he doesn't have to kill this guy to make it there. And he has to slow down to make sure he gets the right person. So I'm fine with that, right? It's more important to get the technique down and to be in the right position than to get the highlight reel kill shot, right? It's always great to get those plays where you pancake somebody, or as a receiver when you pancake somebody, or as a fullback. But let's not forget, being in good position and having your body where it needs to be is 9/10 of the war, right? There's no point in being aggressive if you're in the wrong spot. Really nice play here to kick that out, okay? Get to the second level, and we make some things happen here. You agree with that, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
Okay, moving along, we've got play number 10 here. Okay, got a 4-man front. Okay, we get to the second level, and again, this is another really good example of our running back waiting for things to develop. Okay, it would have been really easy to bounce it out there, but instead, we follow our blocks, and then we get north-south. Is that Parker Ney?
Yeah, that is Parker Ney. I was just about to say, showing him some love in here.
There you go, Parker, you made the cut up. but really good patience here, right? A lot of running backs, I've seen this so many times. This player looks like he's in position to make the tackle. He's got everything he needs. But Danny, I just saw that. You're right. He did have bad things to say about WestJet. We got a kick out block there just in time, and we committed to it. By not bouncing it out, we turned this into a nice run, nice positive yards.
And those kickout blocks should be a lineman's dream. Like, you should be excited to run those because that's your chance to absolutely tattoo somebody. They're not expecting it. You're just running straight at them, full head of steam, and that's your chance for your big highlight reel block, really, if you can line it up.
But the most important thing about that, though, is lining it up in the right spot, right? Get your body in the right position, then follow through. And if you do that 3 or 4 times, we've seen teams when we're running our candies well, when we're running our counters well, we've seen defensive linemen hang their head and give up. They know what's coming. They're more concerned about getting the block than they are making a play. And when you have a defense thinking about getting off a block as opposed to making the play, that's when we're winning the mental battle, right? This is a big boy play from our linemen and our fullbacks. It's one of my favorite switch ups, especially if you're having success with the leads. Okay, play 11. Okay. Again, if we had to take one thing away from this session, it would be the patience that we need from our running backs here. Okay, coming back to the right side, be patient. Doesn't look like anything's there, but we're running the hole. We get a really nice gain out of this. Patience is important. Mainly because this isn't as quick hitting as all the other plays that we have are, right? Like, this is a slower developing play. One of the ways you can slow it down if you're having trouble as a running back is really focus on your check steps, right? Really focus on taking your steps in the right direction and slowing it down that way, right? If you speed through your check steps, it can lead to a faster play. I'll find a better example of that here. So this is play number 12. Again, we're going to wait. The back is going to wait for the line to clear. Let's watch our check step here, okay? So fullback motions up. Okay, here's what I'm talking about from this angle. Really sell those steps and then cut back. So nice 5-yard gain there. But
that fullback looks like a man, eh? That guy's huge.
Yeah, he's playing out in Acadia right now. He's 3rd year, and Aiden was actually a lineman, and we converted him to fullback. Real good kid. But that's another way. If you're speeding through the steps and you find that you're outrunning your lineman, spend a little bit more time on your check steps, right? So quarterbacks like Danny, you have some wheels. Ben Klassen, you have some wheels. This can really set up a nice counter for you. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that defensive end. This quarterback that we had here, I'm going to show you a lot of boots from him next week because he was really good at it and he had some really good wheels. But make sure you're carrying out that fake afterwards. Okay? So again, you can slow it down by really focusing on your check steps. We give our line a chance to develop, and then we go from there. I would have liked on that last block here, we kind of get soft on this player. I'd like to magnet to him a little bit more and go from there, but they had a good linebacking core that year, so it's not always because we didn't do something well. Sometimes it's because they get paid to play too. I know Ben Nolan has some wheels too, Luke. He's not as slow as his older brother.
Yeah, and Saint looked like Michael Vick last year playing Bantam. He just run around all over the place. Totally different quarterback from the year before.
There you go. St. Mackenzie getting some love tonight.
I mean, it helps to be 18 years old playing Bantam, though, too. So.
And that's the end of the love for Saint. Okay. So if we watch this one, the tackle is going to get a little bit lost here, but the running back stays true to the play and is rewarded by having space in the front. Okay. So again, be patient, even if it doesn't look that way. And I really like how Sean runs the ball. He's such a patient back, always giving his line time. Okay. So right here, that is a very lost guard, but we still followed the hole and then go from there. So I know a lot of you are asking, or at least thinking in your heads, both you and Coach Baker have said many times, don't bounce a counter outside. I don't consider bouncing this outside, and I'll tell you why. And correct me if you disagree, Coach, but right here, we're still attacking the hole. We're still getting upfield. And now that we're through the hole, we're making the play outside. This, to me, is an acceptable bouncing outside because we're at least attacking the hole the way we should, okay? What I don't want to see, and I'll roll it back here, is if Sean right here were to try to bounce it or here were to try to bounce it. I want him to attack the hole, and then after we're 3-4 yards deep, be a playmaker and make a play, right? And that's what he does. He gets through the line of scrimmage, and now he has to make a play on the backer. Okay? Reason for that, right, is right here, this kick out block. We are kicking this guy out. If we bounce before we get past him, we are running into him after the kick out, right? So to me, it's okay to bounce it after you get through the hole. Make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, so I wanted to show you 3 more clips, and then I'm going to let you go onto your day and get your NFL picks in. I'm personally hoping for my Patriots to trade up to the first overall and take Mr. Burrows, but I doubt that's going to happen. Might be living in a fantasy world here. So this is the same sort of thing, only we're going to add a like a fly motion off this, right? Like a slot back run. So we're trying to influence those backers. We're still pulling the guard and tackle, and then we're coming downfield. We had a lot of success with this play because we really set up the fly motion from the slot back, and we had a slot back that could run it, right? We get our linebackers moving one way, our offensive line is moving another. Nice kick out block there. We're at the second level already, and Wyatt runs the hole and gets north-south. Okay, he's not going to give them time. We only needed to give him half a second. Very north-southy kind of kid, and he gets downfield. So it's a variation of the same look, but we're throwing in a wrinkle, right? Hopefully trying to influence some linebackers to move to the left while we're hitting them to the right side. Let's have another look at this one, a little bit different angle. Okay.
We just abused Croxford with this play last year.
Yeah. It was, I think we ran it 4 or 5 times in a row. But again, influence the backers. We've got the kick out block. Number 64 is leading us all the way upfield. And we get close to scoring here. Okay, when you're a lineman and you're this far upfield, start to look around, start to look for other guys to block. But again, really nice kick out block, and we're where we need to be. Okay.
And then if you watch the next play on film, you'll be sad because then we fumble on the one.
We did fumble on the one there. This is a little bit later on. Apologize for how blanched the screen is here, but same play, running this across, get that kick out block. Now again, watch the patience here, right? This play looks like it's dead in the water until we get that block where we need to be. So don't give up on it. Don't bounce it. Be patient and get into the end zone. Are there any questions about what we talked about today? Quarterbacks and receivers, after having 6 successive classes about stuff you guys are interested in. I know the last 2 times have been offensive linemen and running back heavy. We're going to get back to a little bit of you guys next week when we start talking about bootlegs and play action and misdirection. Okay, so I wanted to make sure we've covered the fundamentals of route running. I wanted to make sure we covered leads and counters before we progressed to some of the more exciting plays and some of the more exciting concepts that I like and the stuff that I like to run. So on Tuesday's call, I know it's a week away, but on Tuesday's call, we're going to be talking about those. So it's going to give our quarterbacks a lot of stuff to look at. It's going to give our running backs and our old linemen a lot of stuff to look at, even our receivers too. Okay, so it's going to be a real fun call. I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy your NFL draft. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Check out the links I sent you if you've missed a class. The other thing I want to say is this is open to everybody, not just kids we know. So if you have kids on your team that want to come, or if you have kids that are interested in playing football and want to take some time to talk about some fundamentals, I would love to have them join the call. We're getting about 30, 35 kids from each day, and we're getting a lot more after that. We can fit up to 100 on the Zoom call. So keep mentioning it, and I hope to see you all on Tuesday.